welcome in to another episode of Offensively Accurate, hosted by yours truly, Atlas, aka White Boy Deep Voice, aka whatever moniker you see me, alias, whatever. Unfortunately, I got to start this early. I'm going to be running out of time. I have to leave around 7 o'clock. I have other obligations. Partially my fault, partially not. Some news with me, personal news. I missed the last week. I apologize for that. Not that I missed. I did one on Monday, but I didn't get any other streams out. Was wanting to do the debate with Worrell. That fell through. We had plans to do it together. Obviously, they had all of the DMCA threats. Not that I was scared of CNN, but then we saw everybody was kind of streaming to X and all these different platforms, and we thought, we're such a small channel. Are we really going to compete with these guys, let alone is any of this going to turn into building our YouTube pages up? And so it kind of seemed like a high effort, low reward kind of ordeal. So Worrell was the first to make that call, and I agreed with him too. I think it was the right call to make. Just so we could watch the debate in full, and it gave me a bit more of like family time to, be with my wife and give us time to watch the debate in whole and experience it, in person as essentially most everybody else did. And for the spectacle that it was, which it was a spectacle, it wasn't even really a debate, if you could call it that. If anything, it was the world's biggest scam unraveling in real time, getting a lot of people to witness that too. I think it was a good thing that it happened. But man, there's just so much to get into today. Missing a week, you just realize like how much news there really is. And to top it off, especially with the news that happened around the debate and everything that's been transpired since, as well as what's going on culturally in the culture war, we just have so much going on that's just like, it's hard to keep your bearings as we go through this. So with that in mind, a few things I do want to say still dealing with something extremely close to home, personal amongst the family. I can't give any details out. I won't give any details out. There's a big portion of it that's just, all I can ask really is that you please, you pray for me and mine and my family and for my little brother and for my parents mainly, less so me, but more so for the parents. Some stuff where, when it rains, it pours. And so apparently I should say, these things happen the same exact way over and over and over again, right? Like one bad thing, and next thing you know, the whole car is blown out. It's unfortunate, so I'll just ask as humbly as I can, please pray for them. And it's also a portion of why it's so hard to be focused. There's a lot going on in the background. It's hard for me to keep clarity because I don't want to come up here and give you guys, some B, not even B level, but like some C or D tier level, like reporting, especially if I'm not read into things. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to give you some kind of like half-assed opinions, and forgive my language, but today might be one of those days where I'm going to be a bit more colorful just because I'm quite out of patience. And this isn't even with politics. This is just a lot going on, really. So without further ado, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow us on X, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, share the show if you enjoy it. Another portion of what's going on is I've been dedicating a lot of time to a secondary business venture. Now, I've spoken a little bit vaguely, at the beginning of these episodes towards what that is. We ended up meeting together for essentially about a whole day, got some ideas down, meeting together, and obviously it takes some time to put into practice and then apply it and figure out, what are we going to do moving forward from there. So that idea will be specifically the content house, essentially the cultural impact, the one that we are going to kind of do more entertainment ideas, maybe IRL streams and things of that nature, maybe less so political, but it's me. So I'll always be forward facing with how I feel with things. To get into the news though, we start with some of these smaller things before we get into the bigger stuff. Therapy is a scam. Now, when I saw this tweet was kind of wild, actually. This is an actual psychologist giving his opinion over the debate after what had transpired, along with what his take on Joe Biden's performance was. Now, I read this and I kind of was like, I'm not even shocked. It's hard to be shocked anymore with how a lot of this stuff works, to be honest with you. It's kind of getting kind of tiring. But you can see this right here, and who knows if this guy's even a real, psychologist, but it seems that he is. This guy's got a huge following. But right here it goes. As a psychologist who has worked extensively with the cognitively impaired, let me make this a bit bigger too for those who are watching. With the cognitively impaired, Joe Biden did not exhibit any signs of major cognitive decline at the debate. His voice was hoarse and he stumbled over his words a few times. Neither of these indicate severe loss of cognitive function. Well, I would argue that he did quite a bit more than just having a hoarse voice and stumbling over his words. In fact, there were portions of this debate where he wasn't saying anything at all. He was just kind of mumbling a couple words together at a time, mashing it together. Let alone, I think the most glaring aspect was any time he wasn't speaking, it was very apparent that all of his behavioral cues. Just his mouth was agape the entire time, the way his eyes were moving around, the awkward smiling. It almost made it seem like there were people who were in his ear being like, hey, smile, hey, smile, hey, smile, at random ass times too, because it was just, he'd be, open face, like, mouth gaping. Eyes were just completely dead inside. There were times where Trump even turned and was directly like addressing him. And it was just like he was listening to story time. It was like he wasn't even there. Now, I can't even do it justice for how glaring it was that he's cognitively just not upstairs. I mean, you really do need to watch the debate if you've not seen it. You don't even have to listen to long clips of it. You can just, grab a minute clip and you'll have your answer right then and there. Just watching Joe Biden crumbling, deteriorating, even at that. And I don't even say you can say that. I think he's completely gone at this point. And to think about it too, I think the only reason he even had any kind of performance was by the fact that he was probably pumped up on a bunch of drugs. And then two, he didn't take a drug test beforehand, which is another portion too, which I wanted to bring up on the, if we were going to actually record over the debate, which was like, Trump had to do the X, Y, and Z to do this, have the debate hosted from CNN and all these extra like little things. And, of course, Joe Biden doesn't do anything, pre-debate, doesn't do any of what he was, kind of required or asked to do. But then again, this debate wouldn't be happening if it was, you were forcing it on a neutral ground or putting it into a Republican House, because the Democrats just don't play fair. And that's just the way these things operate. Another glaring aspect of it, and a lot of people may not like that I'm going to say this, is Trump barely won. This debate was won on the merit of the fact that Biden is essentially a few days away from passing, being loosened the mortal coil, as many people say on this website. And that was very disheartening. Now, a portion of me believes that he was being told in his ear by the Trump team for Trump to not engage Biden as aggressively as he normally would, especially on the cognitive decline aspect. And part of me thinks that that was due to the fact that they wanted to ensure that there would be no negative Trump publicity coming from this period. And so again, a very conservative approach, yes, but again, low risk, low reward. He won the debate, obviously, but no one's talking about the fact that Trump won a debate. People are talking about, what do we do with this candidate now? Because it was just more about how a skeleton is operating in the White House. There's a lot to go here. But an aside to this point right here with this person, this is a psychologist who came out with this statement, right? Clearly got about almost a million views on this, bunch of likes on this. If you need any more kind of proof that therapy is a scam, I don't really know what to tell you. And I'm somebody who was in and out of therapy for different things throughout life. I wasn't the best behaved kid, and I don't think many of us are. This stuff is trash, especially when it comes from a secular viewpoint that has no ethics and Christian framework, and it just kind of it defaults to the tenets of fairness and kindness. It defaults to the tenets of secular worldview. And that's not, and from my perspective, that's not how you get someone out of a rut, especially if they're dealing with some kind of, deep and dark demon. Now that's an aside and a secondary point, but I think that that's just what you can take from this right here, is that these psychologists are clearly, obviously, not self-aware of how just disconnected they are. Or I guess this would be outright delusional, right? If someone said, oh, dude, Biden's clearly, just stumbled over his words, it's not a sign of cognitive decline. You'd be like, dude, you're lying to me, or you yourself are retarded. But to move off of this to a secondary one, why don't we go ahead and let the MSNBC say this? I apologize. I think somebody just chatted, but I don't think I have the thing popped up, unfortunately. So I apologize for that. Let me go ahead and change this because I can actually pop this out. Forgive me. Let me go ahead and switch this over. I'll pop this out. Your guys' chat should be able to come through. Let me test it. It's the one day I didn't test it is the day I literally forget about it, right? That way, if you guys do want to chat in here, we can see it. Let me make sure it does work, though. Let me see this, right? Test. Does it work? There we go, down there at the bottom. Okay, it does work if anybody does want to chat in here. Okay, so where are we going? Well, I guess we got to start. Let's just start from the beginning. Let's start from a spot here, which is, for one, MSNBC, CNN, immediately after the fact, these places essentially were like bailing water. They were like, "Yep, okay, we can't lie about this. Like we can lie about a lot of things, man, but like we can't lie about this. Like everybody saw that, dude. Like we're terrible, evil people, but man, we ain't gonna fool dumb people about this. Even the dumb ones can see it." So we go with this, right? So we have from Clandestine on Twitter, NBC News put out like a 3-minute segment here where they throw him under the bus. 3.5 minutes of MSNBC speaking in ways about Joe Biden that I haven't heard for 4 years. Now, it's surprising because they run as much cover as they humanly possibly can. Now, we're going to take a listen here. It's about 3.5 minutes long. It was surprising to me to hear how quickly this was going to go. And yes, Biden is comatose. You are 100% correct for debating him. Now, this opens the door for someone who can beat Trump. It does. Now here's the thing with that though. That's the big concern right now, is that they're going to find someone to switch in, which most people are thinking it's going to be Big Mike, which is the easy one to go like, okay, Big Mike's coming in. Well, it turns out, hopefully this is not going to affect me, but it turns out that Big Mike, Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, and they're missing a fourth one. There's like JB Kurtzky or something like that. They all still are like under the numbers for Biden. They're all still kind of sitting around or under the range of where Biden's percentages are even after the debate. The second thing with that too is I believe in some states that it would be already much too late for them to remove Biden off the ballot. I think Biden is secured on 3 different states on the ballot, so they're too far past that point. Now, again, who's to say they don't put in late court orders to get all of this changed around and moved at the last minute? That's always a possibility. They will play these kinds of games, and especially because on the Democratic sides of things, you got to understand, like the way they're going to approach it is be like, well, like this is kind of an odd year. This isn't like a normal procedure thing. We just got to kind of get this done, right? And so people will kind of blur the lines because of the way that they politically lean, where their biases are, and so they'll do these things. But I do agree. I do think that there's an open chance at this point that you could possibly get, and I think the best chance that they do have would be sliding a Michelle Obama in. Hillary Clinton is the other one that I was thinking of. I think the issue is what do you do with Kamala Harris? I think a lot of people are saying that. What's the possibility that Michelle Obama comes on the ticket as a VP and that Kamala Harris takes the presidency? There's a lot of different ways they could kind of twist it around. I think they're going to try to avoid the Gretchen Whitmer and the Gavin Newsom, the white savior, kind of replacing that ticket because it's clearly going to get viewed by some way, especially because they have the most unpalatable minority voice, in their corner that drives the party, these progressives. But I want you to listen to this. It's 3.5 minutes of MSNBC just talking like they're Fox News. It was actually kind of wild for me to listen to.
It is yet another extraordinary moment in the 2024 election cycle, with Democrats in a state of crisis after President Joe Biden delivered a disastrous debate performance that fueled voters' top concerns about his age and ability to serve another 4 years in office. Not since the first Nixon-Kennedy debate in 1960 has a debate had as much potential to shake up a presidential race. This morning, there is widespread panic within the Democratic Party and questions about whether the president should drop out of the race.
I think it was a disaster. I think it was like maybe the worst debate I've ever seen in my entire life.
I do think people feel like that we are confronting a crisis.
There were going to be discussion about whether he should continue.
At first, it was shocking, then it was scary, then it was sad. And by the end, it was absurd. Is the riskiest path sticking with Joe Biden, or is the riskiest path saying we want someone else? And anybody who says that that is not a tough call right now is full of
On Friday, in a stunning move.
I gotta say that's such a soy boy way of like getting mad. He was almost gonna like pout and be bursting into tears. These people, they got their emotional lining just all wrong. It's all messed up.
The New York Times editorial board called on President Biden to serve his country and drop out of the presidential race.
The New York Times one, that's the one where it's like they're not playing around. When the New York Times, the most, what would you call that? The most prestigious, I guess. I mean, not in the eyes of many people nowadays, but what seems from the outside looking in, the most prestigious newspaper in the entire country. They drop this. especially when we understand too, here in the last 10, 20, 30 years, it's been definitely leaning democratically, especially progressively. And they even say Biden should leave the race. The call has came from all of the apparatchiks, the deep state winches, essentially, and all these other institutions clearly showing their disbelief in his ability to win again. And so it looks like what we're seeing right now really is a battle of the Biden family camp versus the DNC at the top. Now, I do have a bit more as we go into this. I just wanted to start from the beginning to show this was almost like, you know, right after the debate, they're bailing water. Like, he can't do it. There is still a possibility, though, that they keep Biden in because it's just simply too late to do anything else. And I think they may have a winning strategy there just purely by the fact of, I can't see another candidate outperforming Biden in all the metrics that he's currently been running in, because my thought process would be, why wouldn't they have done this sooner had they thought that? And I think some of the polling data showing that even right now, Biden sits 1% or 2% above Kamala, with everyone else that I mentioned, Hillary, Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, Big Mike, all underneath that. It's like maybe they were doing the best thing that they could, and the engine puttered out just too late or too early. Like, they were just trying so hard, like, get us past this into this next election, and then Biden, you can do whatever you want. We'll have full reign as long as you get us 4 more years. And he just couldn't make it. Like, the engine just died as they kind of crossed that finish line. Well, they didn't cross the finish line. They're not going to get there.
NBC News has learned that President Biden is expected to address his campaign with his family at Camp David. That's according to 5 people familiar with the matter. Now, he and First Lady Jill Biden arrived there late last night to join their children and grandchildren in a trip planned before Thursday's debate. The campaign was always going to be a topic of conversation, but now undoubtedly Thursday's debate will be front and center. Senior advisor Anita Dunn addressed the matter on Saturday.
You all did not have any kind of conversations about, should Joe Biden drop out of this race?
The conversation that we had is, okay, what do we do next? Mm-hmm. Okay, that is, if there's one thing that we're about, it's, okay, Barack Obama said bad debates happen. We had a bad debate. What do we do next? And, you know, the president, above all, is focused on.
Now, before she gets too much further, what I do want to make point of here, too, as it said right there, she's a Biden campaign person. So you have to understand, these people who are like these deep state bureaucrats who are in the campaign of Biden aren't necessarily like directly correlated with the DNC. It's not like if they drop Biden, these people all pump out. No. These people are literally like linked to Biden. Like, they are the Biden campaign. They are the Biden staffers. They are the Biden apparatchiks. So like, just because the DNC is going to switch to, you know, Hillary Clinton or Big Mike doesn't mean all of these little staffers like follow them over there and start doing it. No. That's why there's all of these back and forth where it's like, is he dropping out? Biden camp says, no, he's not dropping out. It's because the Biden family and all of these deep state bureaucrats who are linked to this campaign, their personal success is directly linked to this. So if Biden gets switched out, yeah, the Dems might win in another form, but these people lose all of their personal gain and thus probably get put in a position of then being persecuted after the fact, because if they're not the ones who directly win the presidency, then they lose, you know, kind of all of their immunity, essentially, as it were. And what I mean by that is, like, say the new Democratic nominee comes in and they go, well, you know, we want to be objective. And we did see some things with the Biden campaigns that was illegal. So we might start some investigations. And then these people become, again, sacrificial lambs to the DNC. So again, it's in their best interest to keep the Biden corpse going. And that's why you're seeing such weird, like, disconnect and pushback between the camps.
What do we do next? What do I need to go do?
President Biden, who agreed to the earliest general election debate in modern political history, had one goal: to persuade voters who are skeptical about his age and fitness for office that he is up to serve another 4 years. Mr. Biden has consistently told voters, watch me.
If I were to run, I think they're going to judge me on my vitality. Can I still run up the steps of Air Force Two? Am I still in good shape? Do I have all my faculties? Am I energetic? I think it's totally legitimate for people to ask those questions.
That's insane. I mean, that's from 2018, so it's like, what, 6 years ago now at this point? Night and day difference. Absolutely night and day difference. And I think with cognitive decline, What you don't do is you don't compare Biden to like the average old man and be like, well, these old guys kind of do that stuff. No. You need to compare Biden to himself. Like, he's his own standard. So if there's a mass fall off or mass disparity between how he acted 3 years ago and now, that's a drastic sign of cognitive impairment or cognitive decline. Not that he's acting like grandpa, so it's okay, so there's no cognitive decline. I mean, you just watched the guy string more words in like 3 sentences. I haven't heard that in years. And it just shows you there's such a huge difference. And I think when you look at the cognitive decline, it's like, okay, is he who he was 4 years ago? No. So it's like the implication there is like, it's only going to get worse. And if anybody who's ever dealt with dementia, Alzheimer's, any of these kinds of neurodegenerative diseases, it always gets exponentially worse. It always gets to a point where it's like, it's slow and then boom, it's just like they're completely gone at that point. And then it's hard to pick up the pieces at that point. But again, 6 years and that much of a difference, that's just wild to me.
For the voters to decide. Take a look. Look at me, see if I have the energy, see if I know what I'm talking about, and make their judgment. I think it's a legitimate thing to be concerned about anyone's age, including mine. I think that's totally legitimate. But I think the best way to make the judgment is to watch me.
Well, on Thursday night, voters watched the president deliver a halting performance, at times appearing confused and repeatedly losing his train of thought.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Like, again, all you need is the clip, essentially, right? Like, you don't even need to do anything crazy. I got a couple of chats in here. I can't see them on my end, though. I wonder what's going on. Let me switch over here. Make this bigger, man. How can I read this? Yeah. Says Hermie saying, yep, the DNC will place a candidate up as the nominee last minute. That's definitely what they're probably going to do. I'm back and forth. I'm not. It's hard to tell, really. Part of me thinks they're just going to force it. They're just going to take the loss and force it. Now, another one here from Johnny Music says, no one on the left will beat Trump. Name one that could beat him. Go. That's also where I'm at, too. Like, I don't think you could rally in anybody enough to vote for him, especially now that any candidate who gets put in after the fact is going to be linked now to the fact of, literally following the steps of the DNC, following what the DNC tried to do. And it's like, at this point, they're kind of just cheaters, right? They're just like these big scam artists. And I would imagine a lot of those moderate leaning people kind of like feel disenfranchised, at least in the slightest bit. No, I do have a bit more going on here. See, do you think Michael Obama will really replace him in this race? I think if they go with anybody, it will be her. And you got to think, too, Kamala Harris is still there. So there's still a good chance that Kamala Harris is placed in the ticket somewhere. Maybe not as VP. Maybe she does take the presidency. And then one of these, like the Hillary Clinton or Gavin Newsom or a Big Mike, then takes the place of the VP to fill out the ticket. Because again, how do you get the Kamala Harris out without offending a lot of the minority voters? And again, I still struggle to understand that connection there, because I feel like even a lot of minority voters don't care for Kamala Harris. And you said, yeah, she did say she wasn't interested, but there's been recent developments saying, or at least pushing out of the Obama camp, saying that if push comes to shove, she will move into office, which I think is the argument for the fact that it's going to be a VP slide in, and she may take the VP, they bump up Kamala Harris, and then you have 2 black women ticket, which again, that's a never heard before type ordeal, right? And they may push that progressive envelope and just go balls to the wall as hard left as they could. Reality is there. I think it's probable that it wins. No, but I think it's possible that that's the ticket they run with. And more to come too. And again, we have to understand a lot of states may not be able to get Biden off the ballot. So this could just be a completely dead year for them, period. You're saying to be the only person you think, oh, Bernie Sanders. Thing is I don't think Bernie Sanders is coming back out the woodworks. I think Bernie Sanders has put he's in the same position as a Biden and Trump, right? Like they're both pushing well over past the age of 50, well past the age of 60. I think he comes with that same kind of tag from the DNC. And you got to think too, I think the party's kind of moved away a bit from the Bernie kind of perspective on politics. They've kind of embraced this a bit more empirical kind of progressive stance the Biden campaign has put on. But again, the whole left is this big amalgamation of non-values kind of tied together loosely by the fact that everyone should tolerate everything. And like, that's really like, if you wanted to boil down any kind of moral that would be distinctual to that group, it's one, and it's like, just don't offend anyone. Like that's the value. So to move off of this though, I wanted to get into a bit more of the harsher stuff with this, right? So obviously there was no drug test for Biden during the debate, right? They just said, hey, no, we're not going to test anybody. But Trump needs to do this and this and this. Trump needs to do this. But Biden didn't test. He probably got his questions pre-read. But we got this from Simon Atiba, I think that's how you pronounce that, saying that it's official. Simon Atiba, again, this guy has 700,000 followers, almost 1 million. He's a chief White House correspondent at Today's News Africa in Washington. He's saying that it's official. Biden is discussing the future of his re-election campaign with his family tomorrow, Sunday, which would be yesterday, right? Yeah, because today is Monday. Yesterday, following a disastrous debate to decide whether he should bow out. Now, I believe that we got recent update today saying that they are going to keep Biden in the race. Now, I'll pull that up here in a second. But the thing here with this is with his family tomorrow. His family is pushing him. Now, I can only feel bad to a certain degree until I'm like, dude, these people are like, they know what they're doing. Like Joe Biden, his son, just forcing him in there. And I personally believe, the same way I view it with these deep state bureaucrats who may have done various things in the campaign trail, I think that they are of the belief that if Biden doesn't win, there is a strong possibility that that whole campaign and administration gets persecuted once Trump takes office. And I think it's a rightful fear they should have, and I think Trump should do that. But we got another one saying, who do I think Trump will pick as VP? I think it's going to be Vivek. I think it'll be Vivek. He was spotted. So there was the announcement for the VP pick from Trump. And I talked about this in the previous episode on number 34. Trump had announced that at the debate, there will be, I thought he was going to make an announcement. Clearly, I guess not. But he did say that the vice president will be at the debate. There were 2 people who were at the debate that were spotted, that were in that camp, or where they were in that back room, I guess. Matt Gaetz, Vivek, and I think there was someone else who I can't remember. Chance it could be Matt Gaetz, but I think everything right now is pointing to the large possibility that it'll be Vivek. Not only does the grassroots support show that many individual level people want Vivek, but I think it also, if you're looking at which potential VP pick could you have that could give you a bigger block of voters that you don't currently have, I think is either between Vivek or Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard is like a step back from being a very homogenous administration. So I think you got to just drop the Tulsi Gabbard, go with Vivek. That'd be the decision that I would make, and I think it's the one that they will make. So we can only hope. There's also been a lot of talk of Rubio, but I think it's been ruled out. There's also been a few other people who were ruled out from that last episode, including like I believe like Ben Carson as well. Elise Stefanik has been ruled out. So I think we're really just looking down to a few people, including Vivek, Rubio, and Tulsi. And there's another one I can't think of. Oh, Tim Scott. I keep forgetting Tim Scott, but he's the most forgettable person of all time. No, he didn't go after Hillary. But again, you have to understand, Trump didn't go after Hillary at the same time, at the immediate portion of going into office, in his first term, being acclimated with all of the opening stuff, being acclimated with all the new stuff. And if anything, his first year in office was the most brutal. That's where he made the most mistakes, where he messed up constantly, having all these bad hires, like the Bolton, it's one of the worst hires that he had. So I think he's learned his lesson now, especially because you got to think too, like for Trump, it's like, if Trump doesn't win, it's over for him. He will be persecuted for the rest of his life until they finally get him on something and can find a room where they can shove him into, lock away the key, and never hear about him again. They would Julian Assange him if they have the chance to. And so I think he's learned his lesson. I can only hope that he learned his lesson. And I love Vivek too, man. We can only hope that we get somebody in there like that, especially too, because he brings such a spiffy and forward-facing kind of youth voice to it. I think he might honestly have been the youngest candidate out of anybody who ran this year. I could be wrong, at least of ones that would have mattered, I should say. To move on to this next one, AF, this is where I saw this. This is America First, is reporting that it's too late for Democrats to remove Biden from the ballot in 3 swing states. Now, I'm not sure which states they are, but I think it's possible. And I think there's some few things that kind of that move this around. I think somebody was also saying that the 25th Amendment bypasses this, as well as if he were to, like, you know, be loosened the mortal coil once again, to be, for lack of better words. I think there are a couple ways that kind of bypass that in case there's like some last minute tragedy that allows for a changing of the ballots in the final hour. Now, again, like I said earlier, there's a huge chance that the Democrats are like, let's make another scandal, and they force something like that to kind of force the legislation to take on their last minute change. Don't put it past them, man. We've seen a lot of insanity come out of politics, right? And I think that's one of the areas where that could be a real possibility, where they do use the 25th Amendment, or they do, you know, medical emergency. And you saw that press release, or maybe you didn't. I saw that press release. There was a press release that happened before the debate that was, you know, concerns from the journalists and press because they weren't allowed in the building. And they were like, okay, but what if there's a medical emergency? They're only allowing 4 people in the building. But a lot of people took that as like, are we expecting a medical emergency here? Like, are we expecting something to happen tonight? Like, you know, because people are like, is this going to be their way out? Because obviously with me and the conservatives and the average Republican, before this debate even happens, we're like, oh, we're going to watch a slaughter. We're going to watch a slaughter. And especially all the journalists and pundits who lie constantly, they knew it was happening too. So that little news piece kind of made it seem like maybe there's something planned to happen tonight, right? Yes, I think you're 100% right. I think it is Kamala who has to initiate the 25th Amendment. I think you were 100% correct. And that probably will be what they do. I believe that's also part of her point as being the head of the Senate, the original role of what the vice presidency is supposed to be. To go hear some more context from Laura Loomer, I wanted to find someone who has spoken a bit more in depth about this. So he's meeting at Camp David this Sunday, which was yesterday, to meet about it, right? So this has already happened. We're going to get to a bit more of the meat of the matter, because I have quite a few more tweets to go with this. Family will be there to discuss his long-term medical care plan. And so what it says here, right, from the, I can't see what news publication this is. Wish I could give him credit. I apologize. Anyway, it is Laura Loomer, a tweet from Laura Loomer here. President Joe Biden is expected to discuss the future of his re-election campaign at Camp David on Sunday. Fellow Democrats are worried about his ability to beat Trump. Under this, we all understand. According to 5 people familiar with the matter, Biden's trip was planned before Thursday's debate. He and First Lady Jill Biden are scheduled to join their children and grandchildren there late Saturday. The fact that it was planned before, that little snippet right there, makes me think that, again, they were expecting to get all this negative backlash. It makes me, again, it gives me this feeling that the Biden family and those who are the closest and at the top of the Biden campaign are hanging on for dear life to make sure that they are not disallowed the immunities and the privileges that they have while being attached to the royal name, which is the President of the United States. To move off of this, again, another one. This is from Colin Rugg. The Biden-Obama relations are bad. Now, a lot of people are pointing to the fact that Obama came out with this kind of tweet saying, like, you know, like everyone has bad days, right? Like, okay, well, this is the follow-up to that, and it wasn't even about 24 hours. Tucker Carlson reports that Joe Biden is keeping her husband away from people who would convince him to drop out. Reports that Obama is clashing or bashing Biden behind the scenes. The report comes as a New York Times report claims Biden's family is telling him to stay in the race. Obama's tweet supporting Joe Biden was disingenuous. In private, Obama is telling people Biden can't win, and he is therefore in favor of an open convention. Relations between the Obamas and the Bidens have never been warm. At times, they've been hostile. So again, the Bidens are essentially a love child of what the Obama administration was. The heir child, right? The heir apparent. Relations between them, I've just said that. But recently, they've deteriorated further, mostly due to Joe Biden. In the hours and days after the debate, she kept her husband cloistered away from anyone who might convince him to drop out. Joe Biden is the driving force behind her husband's re-election campaign, just as she was in 2020 when other members of the family, including his sister, considered him too impaired to run. So this has been around for a minute. And so to think even in 2020, right, they were thinking he was too impaired to run. Now that's kind of wild, don't you think? Because even in some of those videos in 2022, it looked quite a bit better than what we're seeing right now. But again, they probably saw the writing on the wall, or at least were privy in private to other instances that led them to be like, there's no way this can be the president of the United States. And especially for your own family to be reaching out to you, people who would directly reap benefits of this is, again, also alarming, especially from a family who I don't imagine many people have a good opinion of. Now, I'd like to make this a bit bigger so I can read these chats here. From Kukla saying, entertain this what about the esteemed Dr. Jill on the ticket? They wouldn't even have to change the name. This Dr. Joe Biden, she might be, I don't want to say those bad words. She's a witch. She gives me these, I mean, you've seen it, right? I think this is the clip, right? What does Trump do? He lies. She turns to the crowd, right? Can I get on that? Look at this. Look at this still frame. Look at this animal. Look at this beast. Look at this. And the screenshot was perfect because people took this screenshot, right? And they're like, your average Protestant church. That's the pastor and his wife who runs the show, guys. We also see in 2021, there's a shot of her behind Joe's deck with his jacket draped behind her, preparing for the G7 and going over the binder. Yes, I do remember that actually. I believe that summit was the one where it was like the first time I believe he shat his pants. Or again, lack of better words. Again, not surprised. It actually would make the most sense, seeing how actually the average family, the average household, the average relationship is ran like this, where the woman runs everything from the inside. She is the manipulator. He is the tank. He takes all the damage while she controls things from the behind. He takes all of the attacks while she can do the work from the inside. It's just sad. I think this is one of the coolest clips and the coolest memes that we got from this. I think it's great. So it's brilliant, to be honest with you. But again, we're watching a family hang on for dear life as much as they possibly can. They're doing everything they can to avoid being arrested. I think that much is apparent. And again, back to what you said, Johnny, in music, I don't think, oh, forgive me. I think especially with what Trump's went through, right? Like facing all the backlash for not going after Hillary, to then leave office, be persecuted like the most violent person of all time, to then experience what you're experiencing now with the excessive lying. I would be flabbergasted if he didn't make an immediate move to then lock all of these people up and throw away the keys. And I gotta have hope that with the staffers he's got in his administration, like the Kash Patels of the world, they will get this done and they will help move that in the right direction. Same thing with having Vivek be VP. I think is somebody who's going to go in, who's unafraid to say, hey, we got to cut all this bloat. We got to fire tens of thousands of people and we got to lock people up, dude, because we cannot be running the show like this. So to go even further from this, Tucker Carlson essentially is echoing the same exact stuff. Colin Rugg, I believe, pulled a lot of his sourcing from this. Looks like the internet's taking a minute to load here, but it's all the same stuff. Obama's telling Biden people can't win, or Obama's telling everybody Biden can't win, period. All of the same information, including the Biden sister, Val. So this is clearly an official report, at least to some degree, right? And then you have Kuka saying she's indeed a banshee hag. She was never about Lunchbox Joe. It was always about her just watching the sea. And again, I believe there's a lot of credence to that, given the fact that she, I should say, is not the mother of Hunter Biden, and I think any of the kids, to be honest. She's kind of like that late step-in wife when he was already established a bit. I think you see a lot of this with a lot of these women who step in with these marriages late into the midlives of things. They are picking a lifestyle. I think that she might just honestly, genuinely be one of those kinds of women. I think that's exactly who Dr. Joe Biden is. I think all of the body language kind of shows that, exemplifies that. I think all of the reports that we've seen just in the last couple of days echoes all of this, which is she is desperate to do whatever she can to keep her husband there so she can keep reaping the benefits and rewards of what comes with that. Yeah, you're going to party early if Vivek is the Trump VP? I think a lot of people will, man. And like I said on the previous episode, I think that's the ticket prime. Like, I think that's the best possible ticket you can get out of any of the options that are available. I think most of them will get the job done, but I think that one's a surefire. Like, if it loses, it's like, dude, people are not going to take that well, and there will be probably riots in the street, just like how there were in 2020. But we do have even more, not just from the Obamas. You even have Gretchen Whitmer coming in and saying that Biden is making Michigan unwinnable post-debate. Now, unfortunately, it looks like I'm like suffering a bit of internet lag and delay. Let me go ahead and cut some of these out here. Hopefully my internet picks back up. But you got to imagine anytime I want to do a live or do anything like this, of course, there's going to be issues, right? Have to always be issues. I don't know why it's not loading. Let me try this again, actually. Seems I might be having an internet issue, guys. Hopefully not, though. It might just be this tweet. Let me try another one. I don't know. Maybe X just went down. Very curious. I see my concurrent viewers drop down, but I'm not sure what's going on. See, Joey kept... Yes, a lot more trials. Listen, I think even in the bad state that Joe Biden's in right now, I think he's still got some lucid moments where he can just like, he can come to and he's just like, he'll say the right thing right away. And then he'll fall back into those elusive spots where you could be 100% right. Like maybe he was trying to be cryptic in morning. Go blue after governor. I know. Listen, hey, what's up, Sock? I'm unsure what's going on. I'm going to try to reload this again. I can't get anything to load. It's not even trying. Let me go back to X. Can I go back to the homepage? Interesting. Well, guys, it looks like I'm having some kind of issue on my end. Let me try something else here. Can I click on any other website? Okay. I think it's just X that's down, guys. Well, that really sucks. I believe X is down, but let's go back with this chat here. Yeah, F. Gretchen Whitmer. I 100% agree. And then Drowning in Music is saying, well, with the Supreme Court making their decision today, I believe the trials are dead in the water, in my opinion. 100%. And that's what I was going to get to with the Supreme Court decision. But again, I think all of this is down. I can't connect to Twitter whatsoever. Well, that sucks. Well, again, anyways, I wasn't going to be able to run this very long either. But while we're on that topic, clearly, Biden is trash. Biden is an old man. It's not going to make it. NGMI. We're looking at a last minute switch in. Probably not going to work still. We're looking at a legitimate shot at Trump just go ahead and taking the presidency right back. The Supreme Court decides with Trump today, ruling, and again, I'm not going to get to pull up here. Maybe it will pull up. I'll keep it there. The Jack Smith case essentially is dead in the water, right? Let me go ahead and just change cameras. It's going to be kind of worthless for it, huh? The Jack Smith case is dead in the water. The Supreme Court sided with Donald Trump and gave him essentially, or the presidency, the president, they gave immunity for all official actions, whereas all unofficial actions will not have immunity. This means all these things in the light of the presidency or would be deemed as an official duty of the president, then he has complete immunity. Now, I saw some pieces from the Justice Sotomayor of her literally losing her mind. And I mean, seriously, like she lost her mind. Writing about all, like, we're making the president a king now. The president can just do whatever he wants. And it's like, no, dude, like they specifically wrote it out to be, if the president's in official capacity, immunity, not in official capacity, no immunity. There's no official duty of the president to go down and jaywalk or run a red light, right? Like you'll still get charged for doing something like that, and especially if it causes damages. Now, but if the president does something that is an official capacity of the president, well, then he has complete immunity. Now, there are some dark sides to this. I do think it was a bit of it was another grab for power from the presidency. And again, with all the executive orders we've had since, the George Bush era, his son, I should say, the Bush son, Bush administration, 9/11 administration, we've seen an increase in the centralizing of power in the presidency position with executive order after executive order. And you can see it as each president comes in after the next, they break the record for how many executive orders were signed, because I guess, that's just the direction we're moving. Like we're moving into a monarchical system where it seems that Congress has less and less and less and less authority each year, where it really just is between the president and the Supreme Court, while Congress just does nothing but yell at each other all the time. So we're kind of in this weird spot where it seems like we're experiencing a disparity in the power. There's not going to be these co-equal checks and balances that what used to be. There we go. Oh my gosh, finally. Okay, so it was a 6-3 decision from Greg Price. Let me pull this up here. Apologies, guys. I don't know if it was just my internet or if it was on X's end, but I think it was on X. The presidents cannot be held criminally liable for official actions of government, and delivers a nuke to the Jack Smith January 6th indictment. 6-3 decision. And again, the Jack Smith indictment goes back to January 6th, all of the election issue stuff. And I think right then and there, Trump's going to be, that case is dead in the water, right? Like dead, like it's done. Like, what are you going to do? Like, he was doing all of those things while acting as president. Of course, he's going to have immunity for all these issues. And so we got a few more chats in here saying from Kukla, I hope Trump doesn't pick the guy with the eyebrows. Apologies, I'm Canadian, I don't remember his name. He's definitely a Pence carbon copy. I hope it's Vivek for sure. The guy with the eyebrows. I'm trying to think of who you might be thinking of. I don't know, but yeah, I hope it's not the guy with the eyebrows either. I want Vivek. No, you're totally fine. You have to apologize for being Canadian. I feel sorry for you. I just messed with you, Kukla. Says Drowning in Music, it says, and Pride Month has definitely got way out of hand. In my opinion, I was watching many parades and it was all sexualized 110%. Well, if you saw the title item in this, and that's what I also wanted to get to too, before we go too far. I need to keep better track of time because I only got 30 minutes to keep going. But again, wanted to bring this to our attention though. The Supreme Court sided with Trump. Seems like those cases will be dead in the water. But Mario said it best, so I wanted to go to his tweet here because he does justice, right? And Mario Nafal is somebody who has a sketchy past, right? People think that he botted a lot of his following. I still think that he's pretty accurate and spot on. Again, that's why you see him hosting so much with Alex Jones. He's just a politico, right? He's a really, really solid politico. May not be the most, the most credible, but or the most biased, but he's pretty objective. We have this here, Doug Burgum. Oh man, okay, you're right. Yeah, Doug Burgum's got some fierce eyebrows. But the thing is with Doug Burgum is he nuked himself. There was a recent bit, I believe, it was like a year ago. It's from 2023 that came out where Burgum was like, he would never do business with Donald Trump. Making some comments about like, well, when you're a family man or you want to put on a front, you gotta make sure you're careful with who you're dealing with in business. And it's like, dude, shut up. What are you talking about, dude? Like, don't get on this stupid never Trumper thing and join in all the hate against Trump. Like, come on, dude. He's doing the JD Vance stuff. I would never vote for someone who, and then Trump's in power. He's like, well, okay, Daddy Trump. It's like, dude, I can't stand that stuff. No way you changed how you felt in a year like that over something so minuscule. It's just, man, dude. But yes, Burgum. Apparently he's a nice rancher, but he's got some weird things around him. He's like a rich rancher. He is the North Dakota governor, while Kristi Noem is the South Dakota governor. Kind of wild that both the Dakota governors this year became involved in politics, but then both of them kind of are going to burn out. Doug Burgum less so, but Kristi Noem bad with that dog story with the puppies. Hey guys, I like write a book about how I kill dogs. Vote for me. Like, who is advising you? Like, why would you put that in your book? Why is it you think something people want to know about? Like similar with the Matt Stafford's wife. Matt Stafford's wife came out and was like, this was a couple weeks ago, but she came out and she was like, yes, I did. I went and had sex with the backup quarterback behind his back. I did. I wanted to see if he loved me. And it's like, dude, you're only making him look awful, making yourself look terrible, and giving your kids something to fight against in school. Shut up. Nobody wants to hear about your wild sexual escapades you did behind your husband's back, dude. Your husband's giving you everything you have and more, dude. Why are you up here opining over something you did that was going to be negative to him in college? But again, that's an aside. Here's the other side of this, though, that comes with the Supreme Court decision, because there is another side, right? Biden's in office, which means if this Supreme Court ruling takes an immediate effect, yeah, right. It sucks. Would you ever say that you shot a dog? I don't know, dude. I can't. You tell me. I need someone to help me understand that, dude. I can't even give you a thought to why somebody would do that. It's just, man, dude. I don't know. But what I was going to say with this is there's another side to this, which is Biden's still the president right now, which means if the Supreme Court decision takes immediate effect, which I believe it does, or there's at least like one more appeal process before it goes into immediate effect, that means that you give Biden official immunity for any official action that he could take from here moving forward. And then Kukla saying, for sure, I feel sorry for me too. Hey, at least you got healthcare. And then Sasaka saying, did they see John Wick? Apparently she didn't. She needs to get a visit from the boogeyman. No, I don't mean that literally. I'm just joking. I don't want anybody to take that as like a call to violence or something like that. But if you see the masks are off, and this is from Bowtied Ranger, right? So there's 4 different tweets here from 4 different larger kind of Democrat liberal elite kind of pundits, essentially flipping the script and saying, this is from Aaron Upar. So if Joe Biden's declared today that November's election is canceled in order the military to keep him in power, would that be an official act? You have another one here from Dash Daborsky. I strongly encourage Joe Biden to take advantage of his absolute immunity, which he has been lawfully granted by Trump's Supreme Court justices, to do whatever official acts he needs to do in order to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president. Another one, right? These are all some of these big guys here. Bradley Moss. The Supreme Court just gave Biden unequivocal immunity to order the military to take action against Trump today, right now. Multiple people, multitudes of people calling in for violence against the former president right now. These are big, big names too, in full compliance with the Supreme Court's ruling, saying to serve his country, President Biden should drone strike Donald Trump. That's the mindset of these people right now. And to go here, Kukla, you also saying we're pretty screwed over there in Canada. You get Pierre Poilievre, that'd be our saving grace. Yeah, that's true, actually. I did see these American wives. So there's hope for France, there's hope for Canada. You were 100% correct. Although what France is going through right now looks to be a step away from revolution. And to be honest, I think a lot of that's in the cards for every country right now. I think while the liberal order is crashing and crumbling with very, very little mass order to take its place, we're going to probably have a large period of chaos, or at least a decently long period of chaos. Also saying that he was wishy-washy on the abortion issue during the Republican debate with Vivek. I think he was for late term. And here's the thing. Trump's not even fully against abortion either, right? Like, he's just simply like, he agrees with Roe v. Wade. He's not, that's why I said on the last episode, like, you could only wish that Trump was as base as these people make him out to be, because Kamala came out with this tweet saying like, Trump's going to get into office and he's going to mandate that all abortion's illegal and he's going to come after your daughters. And it's like, dude, I could only wish that he would come in there with such a righteous Christian position that we will no longer kill kids in this country. But he's not going to. He's going to take that moderate position. But I know that you're talking about Doug Burgum, and I think most conservatives know that that's a losing issue for themselves. They don't command a strong enough, cult like the way that Trump does to at least have some range in going there. But then again, if you think about it, you have Dusty Devers. Dusty Devers winning in Oklahoma. I mean, the guy just essentially knocked it out of the park with what he did. And Dusty Devers is probably the most metal Christian I've seen take office in quite some time, putting forward porn bans, and a few other things. I think he's going at IVF now, obviously going against abortion as well. So it's possible. It's just like, if the culture is not ready for it, it's probably just not going to happen. Now, I keep running out of time here. Now, Clint Russell has a bit more context with this, and I'm inclined to agree with Clint Russell here as well. Clint Russell is saying that he sees that SCOTUS made a ruling the Dems didn't like, and now they are openly theorizing what tyrannical powers it offers them. Oh, and they seem to think impeaching Supreme Court justices will somehow make the justice system less politicized. Yeah, right, exactly. Every single thing they do signals exactly why separation of powers and SCOTUS are necessary. Left unchecked, these people would gladly see us all locked up, or worse. And I'm inclined to believe it is the much worse portion of this. It's not just locked up. I don't think they would stop at that, especially when you understand the history, at least the way that I do, the history of Christian persecution and the way that that's been playing out. Eschatology, loosely linked, but again, everything, all of this is connected. Kukla saying, healthcare, are you kidding me? I lost my doctor 2.5 years ago, and we are so underserviced in my province and everywhere else, sadly. And then Drowning Music saying, I just said, this is great content. Thanks. Hey, no, I appreciate that so much, man. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it a lot. This is actually like a non-normal episode too, because I started early And then I have to leave by 7, unfortunately. Like, I wanted to go a bit longer. Normally I do 6 to 8 p.m. and I try to do that multiple times throughout the week. I appreciate you a lot, dude. Thank you for commenting and being here. To go to Kukla, what Kukla is saying, that's also what I've heard about Canada, is that they actually can't even keep doctors there because the way that the healthcare is run and they're paid so poorly that doctors do everything in their power to get out of Canada, to get jobs in any other country, to just get paid for what they feel they deserve because the healthcare is just done so badly. I was just making a joke at you, essentially, because we all know that the healthcare is not good there. And I do feel bad for you, man. You know, because again, how much choice did you have of choosing where you were born at, right? Like, you didn't have much say in being chosen to be born in Canada. We can only hope that you can be as base as what France has been with its National Rally Party. But I think what Clint was saying is 100% correct. I think this has opened up a period of caution, because what are we going to do, right? What is the Biden administration going to do if they really do feel not only do they not have no chance of winning re-election, but that they're going to fully, to the extent, have a lame duck presidency through the period until January 1st or January 21st, I believe is what it is. What are they going to do? They're going to do some crazy action? Do they go full martial law? Now, while I think these things are not probable, they are possible. And especially with the DNC, when you have an animal, you know, cornered and, you know, into a spot, it's going to lash out, dude. That's the most dangerous thing it could be. You know, you got it cornered. Can we expect that this lying, scathing machine of an establishment will just be like, all right, come on, all right, you got us, like all right, like our candidate was a corpse, like we tried, you know, oh, you got us this time, not next time. No, they're not going to do that, dude. Not at all. They're gonna just straight up be like, you know, they'll inject him with something and be like, no, he actually had this insanely rare cancer that he wasn't cognitively impaired. It was just like, you guys would catch him in bad moments. They'll probably lie to the very bitter end. Now, to tie this all off, before I go ahead and end this out, because I do want to have one portion here, because I have a 10-minute segment. I'm going to end on this 10-minute segment from a sermon from my pastor. I guess I say my pastor, but I've never really stepped foot into the church. But first, before we go there, this was kind of wild. Breaking, and it's from Leading Report, Trump's campaign manager has warned Democrat influencer Harry J. Sisson, and if you don't know who it is, you can see that picture there. He is the world's most annoying, you know, Democrat guy. Hold on, let me get this out of the way. The TikToker who was paid, I believe it was like $150,000, and I believe there's a couple other ones too in this group as well that do all these TikTok influencing campaigns for the Democrats. Well, she should be expecting a visit, right? Now, they say assassination threat, and I'm kind of like, I mean, technically, right? Like, I mean, you could technically argue this assassination threat, but let's take a look, right? So this is the Trump campaign manager saying, expect a visit. Harry Sisson tweeted, according to the Supreme Court, Biden could send in SEAL Team 6 to take all of them out. He could send in the military to take out Trump. He has immunity for official acts now. Wow. Now I get it, right? Because the obvious implication, it's not even an implication. He says take all of them out. Well, what does that mean? Take all of them out. SEAL Team 6. Like, and he didn't say the cops. He said the terrorist, you know, spot cleanup crew, which is SEAL Team 6. I think the implication is very well and alive there. Now, again, what were you doing, bro? What were you doing? Why would you feel so openly okay to tweet this? And he got again from Kukla saying, totally right, Atlas, I'm putting it on the states, especially when Trump said it in the debate, I still have to win in an election at the end of the day. Right. And he said that, I think that right there, he said the quiet part out loud. And I think he followed it up too with the debate when he said, like, you know, I think you should follow your heart. I think he said that. And I was listening to InfoWars, and I can't remember which host said this, and forgive me, because there's a couple of them now that are decently popular, but he's one of the lesser known ones. No, it was the Stu Peters co-host, and I can't remember his name. He said that he thought that was like an olive branch to the evangelicals who he knows disagree vehemently with his moderate stance by saying, please keep making your voice heard, like follow your heart. Like, you know, because Trump's not going to be the one who directly goes in and opposes that, which maybe he does. I don't think he's going to ever be the one in our lifetime that goes in and is a pro-life candidate. I just don't think that's a reality. I think he is what he is. At the end of the day, he is like the red wave, the Trumpified MAGA red, really Christless conservative at the end of the day. Now, he might point to evangelicals and having their support, which he has a lot of their support too, but I think he really is the avatar of a Christless conservative movement. There are plenty of good things about Trump, but I think he represents the like Nashville, Tennessee, Taylor Swift fan kind of conservative, really, at the end of the day, at his heart. Now we have Vaughn in here saying Trump is gay. No, you can't see that on screen because it probably hit it, but no. And now, well, I will say, I don't 100% align with Trump. There are a lot of things with me that I'm not the most satisfied with him, but it's like at the end of the day, when you look at the options, it's like, well, who else are you going to pick, right? Now, an awful act. This is the thing too, which is like, what would you declare as an official act? Going back to this, what official act could you even declare that would be like, presidents order assassinations on American citizens all the time? No, what? And so it's just kind of like this tongue-in-cheek way of just kind of like making people fear what the Supreme Court sided with today by being so open and flagrant with the position that they take with this. Now, is something going to happen legally with this? I doubt it, truly, honestly. But if it did, I would take that as a grain of like, okay, it looks like the Trump campaign's not playing around. It looks like the Trump campaign is literally going to arrest anyone and everyone that they possibly can, and good on them, because that's exactly what we need. Now, I have this little bit here. How much time do I got right now? Okay, I have enough. I have enough to at least cover it slightly, okay? No, I'm going to have to take it off screen because I literally just cannot show you guys this stuff. I literally can't. This stuff is so aggressively graphic, it actually made me mad at conservatives. And I want to pause it for the sound plays because that is disgusting. And I have to be careful because I literally cannot change the screen, dude. YouTube will ban me immediately. From Taylor Hanson, and if you're not familiar, if you haven't been on X, I would avoid it for a couple of days. I don't understand truly why we can't get conservatives to stop reposting porn. I mean, I don't even care if it's a newsworthy story. Like, at least edit it somewhat, man, or give me like a warning. Now, we did give a warning, right? Taylor Hanson put out a warning on a couple of his tweets. A lot of people did not. A lot of people did not. So if you've not been on X, which is the free speech wing, right? Free speech platform, I would avoid it for a couple of days because forgive me, you will, within a couple, 10, 20 minutes of watching or kind of scrolling on X, you will probably see clips and snippets from the San Fran Pride event. And it is literally just lewd sex act after lewd sex act after lewd sex act after lewd sex act. And they're all like 68 to 90-year-old men, or they're these weird looking, just like, I don't even know. I don't even want to make fun of these people like that because it's, not in that form, but from what they're doing, it's just like, something's wrong with them, right? Like you look sickly, right? Like, is something okay, man? You like, your body looks broken. But an aside with that though, two things with this. Not only is the Pride way out of hand, it's been out of hand for quite some time now. Like, Pride just needs over with. It just needs outright banned. We need to just stop. We need to stop capitulating with anything with this. It always turns out into the same stuff. Pride always results in naked old men walking around trying to get the attention of children. It's what it always boils down to. And if they're not the old men, what it boils down to is it becomes this nice attention. Look at me, I'm so free. Everyone join in on my kink. Everyone join in on my fetish. You watching me do this act in public helps me get off this self-gratification, this disgusting, degenerate stuff. It's just like, why can't we stop it? Why is it so hard to even get some Christians to be like, bro, can we just ban homosexuality? Can you just look at what the result has been and be like, please, like, can we just move to a better position? But again, an aside. The second thing with this is I don't understand how the same people who sit here and go, we want to protect kids, we want to protect this, then repost on X essentially pornography with no graphic warning. I can't even click on anything. Like, this should have a little button that says graphic and I have to click to be able to see it, but it doesn't even have that. So I don't understand what's going on. Is it really worth the money and the clicks and the attention to not have the graphic content warning? Like, really, you don't have the principle to not post porn on your own timeline? Now, I say that again because I can't even show you. I can't even put it on screen right now. Almost nothing from Tenet Media or Taylor Hanson or anyone like the Savannah Hernandez who went to this Pride in San Fran can I repost or show you on screen at all. Because they didn't do any work to edit anything out. Now, one of the big things that's been going viral, the biggest instance of this, is there's literally a man who is giving And if there's any children watching, I'm going to give you a second. Any kids or any children around, I'll give you a minute. Because this next thing is extremely graphic, and I'll kind of wait. Because it's just, I can't even go on screen, but man, just even describe it in words, it's gonna blow some people out of the water. So again, I'll give it a couple of seconds. If you have any kids listening or any kids are around to listen, please, I don't want to be the reason why they have these ideas in their head when they wouldn't otherwise. Okay, fair warning. From Tenet Media, okay, a man receives a blowjob and urinates in another man's mouth at San Francisco Pride. They talked to the San Francisco Police Department about the laws regarding this, and they said it's a pick your own battles kind of day. Apparently, later on in this man did this act with about 12 other men. On the other side of the aisle, on the other side of the parade, what was going on, where the actual parade was moving along, not towards the events and such, there was a old man caught on video by Taylor Hanson. Again, I can't show you because the guy is completely nude. Most people in the videos are all completely nude. The guy is nude in the front of the parade line, and in the parade are kids, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, younger than that, and he's like frantically waving his flag at them, trying to get their attention. I'm proud of Taylor Hanson because Taylor Hanson directly goes in and confronts him. You don't know who Taylor Hanson is? He's that big redhead photographer who works with like Tim Pool, Tenet Media. He confronted him. He was like, "What is this, dude? I just got you on camera doing this. Are you getting off on this?" Now to go to the comments here, we got Pride, man's biggest downfall, 100%. And the crazy thing is, I think even when everybody reads that, they think of it in one way. And I think society kind of flipped it on its head, and we're watching Pride be a downfall in an entirely perverse way that we weren't expecting. And you have Sock saying, even gay Reddit has a graphic warning. I know, I was so disappointed. There was only one of these people who put on a little graphic warning on there. I mean, you even had CCG Bryson, like in all caps, being like, conservatives, please, I'm begging you not to post this. Please stop posting porn on my timeline. And it's like, I get it, right? But you have to understand too. I'm kind of purity spiraling on it because people you have to report on this. I guess my only thing is like, you didn't even do the due diligence to put the little warning there, right? On X, there's a little thing when you post a photo or a video, it's got a little button. It's like, are you posting graphic? Just click this. And it puts a little gray filter over it, meaning that people have to actually click and consent to seeing it. But instead, you know what my timeline was? Scroll. Just 4 different quote tweets about the same old guy on his knees doing lewd sex acts. And then that's just one of these videos, right? Like there's hours of content of this stuff just floating on X, dude. It's disgusting. It's brain rot. It's very indicative of the culture that we have today, which is why it makes it easier for me to go ban homosexuality, ban pornography. Please save the kids, dude. Please stop forcing this in front of children. Please be better parents. Please stop being remiss in your duties of just human beings. Please. Now, I would go further on this. I would go a bit more on this too, like a few other details, a few other videos. But again, I just can't show you anything. It just, if you want to see it again, Savannah Hernandez, Taylor Hanson, and a few other pundits, but those are the 2 main ones. Tenet Media, it's all on X. If you do want to see some of these videos, I encourage you not to. There are some edited versions, but even some of the censored ones that they were putting up it was just too much. I didn't want to take the risk of being hit on YouTube for pornography of all things. It's like, I'm just like, I'm hands off, dude. Like you don't even got to tell me, dude. You don't even got to tell me. You don't even got to show me. I'm good. And so with that, I'll kind of end it there because I'm running out of time. I literally only do about 11 minutes. And it's going to be a big segue or a hard segue off into another avenue, which is, I know a lot of people struggle because they feel like they have no pastor to go to. They have no church to go to. They go to these churches and it's like, it's just egalitarian. It's progressive. It's like, it's women preachers. It's like, you feel left out. Like, all of those, those red flags on the wall being there where it's like, you just get that feeling that like these people are the kind of Christians who just like, they practice their faith only in the privacy of like a dark room and they fear to break it out. There's a lot of different things I could use to kind of break that down. I was heavily inspired by someone who brought me back into the faith. His name is Wayne Harris. He's been on this podcast before, episodes in the teens, I believe. There might be episode number 20 something with him as well. I know I've done 2 for sure with him. Might even be 3 now at this point. This brother was very, very, very a huge portion and a huge aspect in me, making it back into the faith. And so I got a 10-minute clip from one of his sermons, and it's towards the end of his sermon, where I just kind of want to show you, I wish all preachers could reach this level of acuity and spiffiness and the ability to speak openly to his audience and be just unfearful of offending people. And I appreciate you, Kukla. You might be between you and Sock. You guys are the top people on here, to be honest. Sock might got you a little bit though. I think his chat rate might be a little bit higher. No, it's not a competition. I love you guys very much. I appreciate it. And it's going to be on Facebook. I'm going to make sure I click out of this stuff too. I don't want to actually switch screens and pull something up that I avoided the entire time. So with this though, it is on Facebook. And again, this is Where the Church Meets. This is his church organization. Where the Church Meets is, did I click on it? Is essentially him building from the ground up his church. Now, he's had some crazy experiences with that, throughout the lifetime, and, his experience, being taught to preach and, by theologians, and his experience with the social dynamics of the church has also been eye-opening, because this is a former felon who's moved into aligning himself with the Lord and being redeemed and saving himself. And then now shining that light into everyone else that he can. So he's crazy story, crazy guy, crazy life, and he's been one of the biggest inspirations to me. Now, instead of me just talking the whole time, I want to show you the actual sermon. And it's Where the Church Meets on Facebook. Now, I will show you here. Where the Church Meets on Facebook, about 600 followers here. This is Wayne Harris, that's him. Now, I want to be able to find the videos from when they were live. Here it is. So it's about the 40th minute, because I checked it before I went here. It's about the 40th minute here, all the way to about the 50 minute. I'll go ahead and pull it up.
Called us to eternal glory by Christ Jesus. After.
Oh, hold on. Can I get rid of this? Yeah. How's that look? Okay. Looks solid to me. Okay. And I'm not even going to be commenting much on this. I'm just going to let him speak. So I'm going to take myself out of here. Where am I at? I'm going to let him do all the talking. He does a better job than I do. That is for sure. At least when it comes to preaching, I could only wish that I could be, as good as some of these guys are, preaching the word and being so honed in with what they are. And I was saying a little quiet today because I'm doing yard work. Listen, I appreciate you. Yeah, don't feel you're obligated, mother. I was just saying, you and Kukla have probably been my 2 longest and best supporters, at least you here in the chat. So I appreciate you guys a lot. Keeping me engaged with the chat too. It helps me keep the juices flowing inside the brain, so I don't end up pulling Bidens and gaffing out here. But again, I'll go ahead and play this at the 40 minute. We're going to stop it at the 50 minutes, and then I'll have to go ahead and end the stream. All right, so let her rip. Any issues with sound or anything, please let me know in the chat. Spam it if you have to.
You have suffered a while. Perfect, establish, strengthen, and settle you. The New Living Translation says it this way. Stand firm against him and be strong in your faith. Remember that your family of believers all over the world is going through the same kind of suffering you are. In his kindness, God called you to share in the eternal glory by means of Christ Jesus. So after you have suffered a little while, he will restore, support, and strengthen you, and he will place you on a firm foundation. I have a friend over in Kenya, guys, who has been sending me pictures. So Kenya is going through a civil war right now. I think one of the toughest pictures he sent me was these 3 men on a motorcycle. And the one on the back is screaming with a pain that only comes from a parent's child being hurt. And the child has about 5 bullet holes in his back. I doubt he made it. He sent me tons of pictures. I have them on my phone. His friend's head's blown off. Another guy who's alive, bullet holes all through him. Another guy, they're interviewing him right before they take his life, bleeding, beat senseless. And as I was looking at those pictures, I was thinking, man, and I thought I was suffering. We have been blessed in this country in ways that you can't fathom. I think one of the most impacting stories I've ever heard, I watched a documentary called What is a Woman? I'm not promoting it. I mean, I thought it was good, but he goes over to Africa and he's talking to this tribe over there, and he asks them about coming to America. And they say, isn't that the place where people are jumping off buildings? Why would we want to go there? I don't want to fall for that craziness. See, they can't fathom that someone would want to take their life because they fight every day to keep theirs. Every meal they get, they're grateful because they don't know if they'll get another one. Every night of sleep they get, they don't know if they're going to wake up. Every glass of water could be their last one. And we think that we suffer.
I'm only going to pause it here just to bring up the aspect that he's spot on with what he's saying, 100%. Always, usually always. But if you're not aware, there is a revolution going on in Kenya right now, which that's what he's speaking about. He's got friends, friends everywhere, essentially. He's got a wide communication network. But just that willingness to just approach a political issue head on is so, it's almost like it just doesn't even exist in modern churches anymore. And now I can't show you the full thing and the full extent to which he actually hits the head, nails out like a hammer on all these different political issues. This is just speaking to one. And I would encourage you, it's about an hour long. If you did want to go watch this sermon, to hear a pastor finally it's like a breath of fresh air for me to listen to this man. And I think that's the biggest thing though too, is to just stare at someone in the face and openly be like, no, like this is wrong and we need to be moving away from these things. How dare you feel these types of ways? Now, just a small aside point, I wanted to make that known though too. The guy is brilliant at what he does, but I'll let it go and play out.
I'm telling you, man, I don't know what it is, and I'm not a doomsday person because I serve the Lord and I walk in victory. But I think there's a wake-up call coming to this country. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I got an idea, and it's coming. And we're going to start to understand what the rest of this planet understands, and that is life is more than a 401k. It is more than a 3-story building. It is more than a new Dodge truck. I'm not dogging any of that. I tell people all the time, people say money don't buy happiness, but it sure is hard not to smile on a jet ski, all right? Nothing wrong with being blessed at all, but appreciate it. Understand that we have been blessed more than anyone else in this country or in this world. The people who are homeless in the alleys are living wealthier than most of the world. You know how many people in other countries would love to have a dumpster to get food out of? I'm serious. Would love to have water spigots sticking out of a wall that they could drink water from. One of the most humbling moments in my walk was when I was talking to my friend over in Kenya, and he was talking about going and getting water and how they walk for miles to get water that's not even clean, that they drink, bathe, and cook in. And I'm having a conversation at Anytime Fitness as I stand before a water fountain where I can push a button and clean water comes out. Could you imagine what it's like to watch your baby drink water that you know is killing it? That's happening right now as we talk. As we talk right now, there are some babies in this world who the only option they have is to drink water that's definitely killing them. I can't imagine. Can you imagine feeding your babies, Brenda, knowing that what you're putting in their mouth is taking their lives? And it's your only option? And you walked for miles just to get that. But we feel like we're suffering. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. How dare us? How dare us walk around complaining, talking about, I ought to kill myself. You won't use the correct pronouns. I don't even want to live anymore. Get over yourself. I'm not taking a shot at these confused people because that's what it is. They're confused. They don't understand their identity. That's not a shot. It's really not. But how blessed you must be that your biggest problem in life is someone won't participate in your ludicrousness. Because I know about 3/4 of this planet that would trade places with you right now. We got people that's so confused over here that they're fighting for people who would kill them. I will never understand Queers for Palestine. That's their title. I didn't give it to them. That's what they call themselves. Queers for Palestine. You know what I'd say? Give them a ticket, send them to Palestine. Let's see if they root for Palestine anymore, because they will not live. They will be killed in the streets. It won't be hidden. It won't be at night. They'll put them in the middle of the city and make an example out of them. How far we have fallen.
Again, I can't tell you how much this is a breath of fresh air. I have grown so accustomed to taking the very platonic, neutral, non-offensive, not fire and brimstone, not invigorating, just paper-handed, weak Christianity that when, coming across this guy really was like a huge, just like, it helped. It helped me a lot. Yeah, it really did. And I can really only say thank you to him. As that's all I can really say, honestly, truly. He shined a light on myself, personally, because I used to work with this guy. But I think the main important thing here too is that fearlessness to just talk to your audience plainly and truthfully with the confidence of God behind you. It's like, that is powerful. And I can only appreciate it. I can only sit back and appreciate it. I wish in a different timeline, in a different life, maybe I did follow this path to be a pastor somewhere and to help lead youth. But since that's not, the current track for my life right now, and I can only do so, I do it to a best degree, or to a degree, I wish I could say, somewhat. There's people who always can do it better than you. And I think it's just a nice, once again, breath of fresh air. And I say this because I don't want people to feel in their search for faith, especially in this world, not even in just searching for churches yourself personally in the local region, but just understand that there are people out there, we're not done yet, right? It's like the rebels and Star Wars and everything's looking super bleak. We're still around. There's still some of us here, the fight's not over yet. And I just want to say this too. We have a little bit more, about 4 more minutes. He's gotten this little clip here. But I share this with you too to put a spotlight, which I should have done the creator spotlight in the title, but I want to spotlight people who I deem to be they need a bigger following. These people are doing really good. And that's why I put the spotlight on Homath. I got the spotlight here on Wayne Harris today. And I'll probably move the spotlight as we move forward with more episodes. I'll probably continually to do this where it's followers and not followers, where it's content creators who people haven't heard of, who are maybe smaller a bit, or maybe even tiny, like how myself and Wayne are, and put the spotlight on them, because I think that's the best thing. One of the best things I could do is be like a middleman, to be like, hey, have you seen these people? Have you seen what they're doing? Because I think that, especially because this will be in what lays the groundwork for when we move forward, especially because you have to think too, with everything we talked about previously, with the Supreme Court and all the possible military action Biden may take, and with what he even said himself, which is, there's that steep feeling I think a lot of people have, whether it's the apocalyptic feeling of the end is nigh, or just maybe it's in the America empire falling sense, where it's America's going to fall from grace. There's some kind of dread sense, right? This feeling of dread that there's going to be some massive change and it's going to be for the worse. And so I show you this to be in light of what he's saying with the suffering aspect, it's you got to have a paradigm and a perspective to view these things with. Because it may not be pretty. In 2 or 3 years, it may not be pretty whatsoever. And we may be looking at exactly what's happening in Kenya to a lesser degree, but similar. And so I'll let him continue. Got about 4 more minutes of this I'll play before he gets to his next segue.
See, Jesus didn't call us to comfort. He called us to suffer. That was scripture I just read to you guys. That was not my idea. Those aren't my plans. Suffering teaches you, though. Where did I get my wisdom? Suffering. When you meet someone who has suffered, and there's people that blow me out of the water. People tell me all the time, wait, how did you do that? How did you endure it? I'm saying, bro, because I wasn't at age 8 putting an AK-47 in my hand, watching my mom's breast get cut off so my little brother couldn't eat, and then forced to go fight in full combat. I ain't making that up. That happens in Africa all the time. True stories. I wasn't sold by my crackhead of a mother when I was 6 years old for sexual desires of someone else to provide for her. Her drug habit happens right now, all the time. I'm not a 12-year-old locked up in a basement as we speak, waiting for the next man to come through the door to treat me like a piece of property. It's happening right now, as we speak, by people that you're supposed to be able to trust. I'm talking politicians, leaders of this world. I will never fathom how we know that there was an island where children were sold and taken advantage of, and we know the monsters that did it, and we're letting them fly. Boy, there's going to be a special place in hell for those folks. They better repent. Now, is Jesus mercy and grace for them also? Absolutely. If they would repent from their sins and confess with the mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in their heart that God raised him from the dead, they shall also be saved. Now, will they give an account? Absolutely. Have no doubt. Just because you're a Christian, you stand before the Lord. We will give an account. So my question is to everyone, what will you say on that day? When you stand before the Lord, are you going to be like, Lord, it was unfair? This guy had it better than me? Lord, I would have done this, but I was only making $12 an hour. I don't think that's how that conversation's going to go. Someone asked me recently how I felt about whether you could lose salvation or not. And I told him, I said, well, I'll tell you this. Some people believe that you can't lose your salvation. Some people believe that you can. I'll tell you the thing I'm positive about, you definitely can be deceived into having it, because the Bible says it. The Bible says that there's going to be people that will go to the Lord in the last days, say, Lord, didn't we do miracles in your name? Didn't we cast out demons in your name? He's going to say, get away from me. I never even knew you.
Now right there is one of my deeply worst fears. Now, I don't think it's going to happen to me, not at all, no. Right? But again, like he just said, many people are led into believing that they are saved when indeed they are not. It is just like, it's like, finally, dude. Like finally, bro. Like, this is what Christianity is supposed to be, dude. Not being fearful and cowardly of what the world may deem you to be. Not being fearful and cowardly of what the world may do to you, right? For Jesus suffered before us so that we don't have to suffer like he did. Again, I just wanted to show it to you too, because I watch this in real time on live that I try to always do on Sundays, to try to catch him live, because he always records his lives on Sundays. And I couldn't pull myself away from this one. I literally couldn't. I caught there watching the whole thing. I was in the middle. I was supposed to be working, and I was like, I gotta listen to this, dude. This is literally touching my soul right now. And I only say that too, if there's anybody here in the audience who may feel a specific type of way or may not be, as aligned with Christ or have a church the same way that I do. I may not have a church per se that I can go in person, but virtually I try to, participate as much as possible. I say that to not lose faith. I say that to know that there are warriors in Christ who have taken up, the shield of faith, the armor, the breastplate of righteousness, and are willing to do the will of the Lord. So again, Wayne Harris, follow him. Really, really good follow. I would imagine he will be on the podcast in the future because we've done episodes before. He'll probably end up being a reoccurring guest. He'll be here and we'll go distance on conversations as well as stretch it to like topical news and what's going on in the day to day. And just being unafraid to simply call out and rebuke sin. Being unafraid to say, look at our public leaders. Look what they've done. How will we let this slide? Going to topics and avenues the average preacher just fears, terrified of doing. With that said, I've already gone too far. I needed to get out of the house a little bit ago, but again, I'll be late. Put some content up for you guys. I was going to cut way in short. I appreciate everyone who was in here, all the concurrent viewers. Hope you guys all have a blessed day. Kukla, Sock, Music, thanks for subscribing. Everyone else who's been in here, I appreciate you greatly. Christ is King. And again, if anything, all of the political stuff falls by the wayside. The most important thing is do you have an idea of what the account you're going to give the Lord will be? Now, clearly and obviously, politics affects everything from here, 6 days from Sunday. It affects your life. It affects your children's lives. You got to be vigilant. In no way am I saying not pay attention to it. But the more important thing is, do you know what's going to happen to you when you die? Do you know what's going to happen to your loved ones when they die? Do you know what's going to happen to your children when they die? I would drop everything and make sure I had an answer to those questions if I found myself in a position where I felt like I couldn't answer it or I didn't have an answer. And for some of those people who fit in my categories, I'm still unsure. So that's why it's important on a day-to-day basis, you pick up your cross and you do your best to live like him. Be the way, show the way, be the example, and be bold. More than anything, be bold, be unafraid. I got a light, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't be afraid. I appreciate you all. Christ is King. Have a good day. I will try to stream again once again this week. As always, pay attention to the community page. I'll post it. I'll try to post on X as well. And then 2, I always post the live notifications on Facebook as X when I go live too. If you want to click the little bell, if you want the live notifications, that should always guarantee a notification when I go live. So reduces chances of you missing it and being here. Again, I appreciate you all. You guys all have a blessed day. It's been amazing. Take care, and I will see you guys very soon. Peace.